Hi, and welcome to Dark Window. I'm your host, Jim Mann. Here on this program, I will be talking with many of the leading investigators, researchers, and authors on the topics of UFOs, UAPs, alien abductions, extraterrestrials, and a host of many other fascinating and related topics. So please join me and my guest for the next hour as we reach out. This is Dark Window on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Dark Window. I am your host, Jim Mann, and for the next hour, I will be talking with a very special guest, Michael Schratt. Now, Michael, thank you for joining us. It was such an interesting conversation last week, and we were talking about crash retrievals. We're going to pick up a little bit where we left off, but a little bit about Michael. Michael is a private pilot. He's an aviation historian. He's been investigating UFO encounters for over 25 years. Between 2008 and 2009, Michael meticulously reviewed a minimum of 50,000 cases, which were preserved at the Center for UFO Studies archives in Chicago. In an effort to maintain an important part of our national history, Michael has recreated dozens of highly credible UFO cases by the use of drawings, illustrations, and commercial artwork. Michael has appeared on multiple media platforms, including Coast to Coast AM, the History Channel, Paranormal Matrix, UFO Hunters, Fade to Black. In addition, Michael has been a guest speaker on multiple conferences throughout the country: Phoenix MUFON, Orange County MUFON, the International UFO Congress, the MUFON Symposium, and UFOCon. And Michael, again, thank you for joining us. And now we're going to pick up where we left off last week. Do you have a presentation there or something you want to pop up for us?
Thank you to you and Patricia. I appreciate being with you both. It's great.
It's always great having you on the show, Mike. I mean, you've been a friend for a long time, and we have plans on seeing you again next week for part 3. And also for maybe getting together at some conferences and some other activities outside of our little radio program. But where do we want to pick up tonight? Where did we leave off?
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen here, and hopefully we can get this to work. Let's see, share. Okay, entire screen. Share. Okay, so are you able to see this?
Got it.
Slideshow from beginning. Okay, so now I'm going to cycle through and get to where we were before, and that takes us to about right at the back of here. So we left off at the end of this case right here, which is Cape Girardeau. Okay, so you see this, right?
Right, I do.
Good. Okay, great. So, Jim, why don't we go ahead and start here? And I want to begin with some of these interesting quotes. Okay, and this is called Famous Words of Wisdom from Those Who Thought They Knew It All. And there's a point to this, which I'm going to get into a little bit here. But from those who thought they knew it all. All right, number 1. Quote, computers in the future may weigh no more than 1.5 tons. Popular Mechanics forecasting the relentless march of science in 1949. Well, we know that turned out to be false, right? Okay, next one. I think there is a world market for maybe 5 computers. Thomas Watson, chairman of IBM, 1943. Again, this is subheading for those who thought they knew it all. Next one. I have traveled the length and breadth of this country and talk with the best people, and I can assure you that data processing is a fad that won't last out the year. Editor in charge of business books, Prentice Hall, 1957. Next one, quote, but what is it good for? Engineer at Advanced Computing Systems Division of IBM, 1968, commenting on the microchip. Next one, quote, there is no reason anyone would want a computer in their home. Ken Olson, Digital Equipment Corporation, 1977. Next one. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. Western Union Internal Memo in 1876. Quote, the wireless music box has no imaginable commercial value. Who would pay for a message sent to nobody in particular? David Sarnoff Associates in response to his urgings for investment in the radio in the 1920s. Go on here. Quote, who the hell wants to hear actors talk? Warner Brothers, 1927. Quote, I'm just glad it'll be Clark Gable who's falling on his face and not Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper on his decision not to take the leading role in Gone with the Wind. Next one, quote, a cookie store is a bad idea. Besides, the market research reports say America likes crispy cookies, not soft and chewy cookies like you make. Response to Debbie Fields' idea of starting Mrs. Fields Cookies. Next one, quote, we don't like their sound and guitar music is on the way out. Decca Recording Company rejecting the Beatles, 1962. Next one, heavier than air flying machines are impossible. Lord Kelvin, President, Royal Society, 1895. We'll do a couple more here. So we went to Atari and said, hey, we've got this amazing thing, even built with some of your parts. And what do you think about funding us? Or we'll give it to you. We just want to do it. Pay our salary. We'll come work for you. And they said, no. So then we went to Hewlett Packard and they said, hey, we don't need you. You haven't got through college yet. Apple Computer Incorporated, Steve Jobs. This is in regards to HP interested in his personal computer. Next one. Professor Goddard does not know the relation between action and reaction and the need to have something better than a vacuum against which to react. He seems to lack the basic knowledge ladled out daily in high schools. 1921 New York Times editorial about Robert Goddard's revolutionary rocket work. Drill for oil? You mean drill into the ground to try to find oil? You're crazy. Drillers who Edwin L. Drake tried to enlist in his project to drill for oil back in 1859. And the final three here, quote, stocks have reached what looks like a permanently high plateau. Irving Fisher, Professor of Economics, Yale University, 1929. Quote, everything that has been invented has been invented. Oh. Charles H. Dole, Commissioner, U.S. Office of Patents, 1899. Those who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. Unknown. Okay, so what's the point of all of this? Why am
one of them was a fail.
Yeah. Why am I bringing all this up?
Yeah.
And tying it into UFO crash retrievals. How can we make a connection here? Well, this is kind of the big one here. Quote, UFO crash retrievals can't be real or else I would have read about it in the newspapers, the general public. So that's the link here. Everybody thinks that this just can't be true. It's wrong. It's crazy. The whole thought of UFOs crashing and then being retrieved by the U.S. military and keeping it under wraps for all these decades, it can't be true because we would hear about it, right? We would read about it in the newspapers. It would be front page news and we'd hear all about it. It'd be the biggest story of the world. But I've just given at least 15 examples of when people thought they knew better and they didn't. So that's the point we're going to make here as we begin our little presentation here. Now, I'm going to start here with the Leonard Stringfield cases that have been committed to illustrations by my good friend Rudy Gardea. This is an ongoing project that we do every Saturday. We put in about 7 hours of drawing time, and this is one of these cases. Now, this is prior to Roswell. This is already 5 years prior to Roswell, UFO crash retrieval in 1942 at a location north of Georgia. Source is page 319 from UFO crash retrievals by Leonard Stringfield. So bottom line here is this is about a 25-foot diameter dish-shaped craft that came down at a military facility that we don't know, north of Georgia. It hit the side of the building and caused a hull breach on the side of the craft. So that's what you see on the left side here. You can see the outer exterior of the skin has been ripped away and pulled back. They also mentioned that there was a wraparound window that was basically wrapped around the forward 1/3 of the craft itself. There were two beings recovered, and we've got them over in the kind of an indented detail view on the left here. They were about 5 feet tall, elongated arms, oversized head, oversized eyes, slit for a mouth, minute nose, gray skin color, very dangly hands. But then in the report, and this is page 319, they mentioned 2 specific levels. On the top level, there was what looked like a computer console with buttons and switches and dials and levers and a display screen. Down one level from that level were 4 what looked like bar chairs that were very near the inner wall of the craft itself, right around that wraparound window. So again, this is a UFO crash retrieval in 1942, prior to Roswell. And
interesting. Yeah.
Yep. We're going to move on to the next case here. Now, and these are all in order here. So we already talked about Cape Girardeau. That was 41. We just hit 42. Now we're going to move on here. So I want to take you through a tour through Roswell, and we'll discover what we can find here as we move along. And this is kind of like my Roswell research road trip. And you can follow the exact same route today as the 509th Bomb Group followed back in 1947. So you're entering the town and you're greeted by these signs. The entire town is dedicated to this crash retrieval. This is the most accurate map of what actually took place. It wasn't just one event. There was actually 5 events, and I want to break this down here. If you look at the bottom of this map, you've got Roswell. Now, if you go northwest, you'll see this big dot called the debris field. But we want to go about 5 nautical miles north of the debris field on something called the touchdown site. This is where Lincoln La Paz and Lewis Rickett, who was a 519th Bomb Group member, they discovered 2 interesting things, Jim. Do you have any idea what those were?
2 bodies?
Nope. What they found is, number 1, they found fused green glass. And that it's indicative of high heat. I mean, it literally fused the sand to glass. So we're talking high heat here. We're not talking a weather balloon. Number 2, they found a seamless black box. No rivets, no seams, no nothing. A black box. We don't even know today if they were able to open it. I don't know what's inside, but they recovered a seamless black box. So this is the touchdown site. This is the beginning of the entire scenario here. Now, 5 miles.
Did you say, Michael, excuse me, did you say the big dot there is the debris field?
Yes, the debris field is the big dot.
I've been there, yes.
Yeah, you've been there. Now, north of the debris field is the touchdown site. So that's where we believe whatever this thing was, it briefly touched down, it fused the sand to green glass, it left a black box there, and then popped back up again, and then disintegrated a large percentage of the craft that fell the debris down on the Foster Ranch. Now, this is 65 miles northwest of Roswell. That's the famous debris field. Now, the trajectory of the craft was from the northwest to the southeast. So you see these arrows that I've drawn here. That's the track that we're going here. And we're going to end the track at the impact site or the crash site. Now, there were 5 bodies recovered. 1 was still alive. At this location, which is the impact site, there were 2 bodies recovered. 1 was still alive. But if we track back near the debris field, about 2.5 miles east of the debris field is what's called the second body site, or what's known as the D. Proctor site. That's where 2 more bodies were recovered for a grand total of 5. So when you look at this here, you've got multiple things going on at the same time. And this is a very accurate representation of what actually took place. Now I want to take you kind of on a tour of these different sites here. And we'll start here. This is a photograph taken by Don Schmidt, and it shows you the landscape of the vicinity of where all this took place. I mean, you've got these very low rolling hills. You've got some shrubs. There's no trees. So it's remote by car, but it's not remote by aircraft. And so this just gives you a sight picture of what this actually looks like. Now, this thing happened at 11:59 p.m., July 2nd, 1947. So this is the morning of July 3rd, 1947. You've got Matt Brazel and 7-year-old Timothy D. Proctor, who came across this very interesting debris. There was about a 12-foot wide gash that was 200 foot long. And you can see that there's different types of debris. Number one, there were these very interesting pieces of, they look like very small pieces of aluminum foil. They could not be cut, they could not be burned, they could not be damaged or dented with a 16-pound sledgehammer. So that's debris number one. Debris number two is the famous memory metal. This is the kind of debris where you would crumple it up in your hand, and if you were over a desk, maybe 12 inches above the desk, you could let go. This stuff would spread out like liquid mercury and then slowly fall down to the top of the table. That's debris number two. Debris number three were multiple pieces of small I-beams with iconology written on the inside wall of the I-beam. So those are the three types of debris that were found by Mac Brazel and Timothy D. Proctor back on the morning of July 3rd, 1947. Now, let's continue on here. By this time, now think about it. It happened on July 2nd, 1947. So whatever these things were, they were sitting out in the desert, and they were being, you can kind of see where this is going, right? Mm-hmm. Critters got to them. The elements got to them. So it's the night of the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. It wasn't until the evening of the 7th where the military really got involved in the retrieval operation. So this is July 8th now, showing this in color. This is by our good friend Tom Bogan. But you can see the body. We can see the survivor here. You've got the 18-wheeler tractor trailer lowboy. You've got the Jeep. You've got the ambulance truck. Now, a lot of people think that this craft was a dish-shaped craft. It was not. I'm going to repeat that. It was not a dish-shaped craft. It was a approximately 13-foot long egg-shaped craft with a dome on top the size of a Volkswagen. That's what this thing was. The bodies were in here. We believe that this was part of an escape pod that came down. And the retrieval operation is in full swing now. Over to the right, now this is confirmed by Don Schmidt, wherever this craft came down, it was within about 200 yards of a water tank and a windmill. And so that's how we can gauge where this actually took place. So let's move on to the next slide here. And I want to take you further. Now, once they recovered the craft and the bodies, they were on a military convoy going right through Main Street, which you can follow that track today. This is July 8th, 1947, 4 p.m. And we have this by two paper boys who saw a military convoy with two Jeeps up front, two Jeeps up back, and in the middle, there was this 18-wheeler tractor-trailer lowboy with something that looked like a Volkswagen with a tarp covered of it, completely covered with cables or chains holding down the tarp. This is July 8th, 1947, 4 p.m., and we know that because multiple eyewitnesses saw the exact time when this thing came right through downtown Main Street. So literally, we have it within plus or minus 5 minutes of 4 p.m. on July 8th, 1947. Now, this whole convoy was heading toward the 509th Bomb Group. They were heading to the large hangar there. So let's take you over into the base now. Now, this is inside Roswell Army Airfield, Hangar P3, Building 84. This is July 8th, 1947, somewhere around 4:15, 4:20 p.m. Off to the left, you can see the troop transport. Now, remember, there were two teams of 50 men crisscrossing the debris field for 3 days. And guess how they finished up, Jim? You want to guess? How did they finish it up? Do you know?
I think they were on their hands and knees picking up pieces of debris, putting them in sacks.
That's right. They were on their hands and knees. And when they got all done, they finished up with industrial vacuum cleaners out in the desert with industrial vacuum cleaners. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this? And we're told that this was a weather balloon. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're going to use industrial vacuum cleaners for a weather balloon. Why would they care? All right. So in the foreground, you can see 4 of the bodies have been recovered. We've got the caskets that was confirmed by Glenn Dennis. Off to the right, you've got the 18-wheeler tractor-trailer lowboy with the hull breach on the side of the craft. And in the far background, you can see that they're already beginning to build the crate. So once the bodies were loaded into the hermetically sealed child-sized caskets, those caskets were loaded into the crate. And by this time, July 8th, 1947, we've already got like the first body flight going out. There were so many things converging at the same time. Pappy Henderson in a C-54 already flew to right field by this time. So you've got multiple things going on here. Now let's continue.
Now, that was the name of the pilot?
Pappy Henderson was the name of the pilot. Yes, he flew the first body flight out of Roswell Army Airfield. Yes.
Okay, so we know the pilot.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, now, once they built the crate, they put the crate in something called atomic bomb pit number 1. And you can imagine, this is like some very precious cargo. So they lowered this crate into the bomb bay, and then they built 2 perimeter screens around this crate inside the bomb pit. And they had military MPs with rifles inside and outside each concentric ring. And their mandatory operation was basically to shoot to kill anyone who breached these perimeter screens, Jim. Now, I submit to you, is this a weather balloon that they would have people?
That was their order?
Ordered to kill people who would come across these concentric
or weather balloon debris.
It's just insane. Why would they even put it in a atomic bomb? It's just the ludicrous explanations that we've been given all these years. So this is the night of July 8th, 1947. Now, on the morning of July 9th, 1947, they taxied a B-29 called Straight Flush over atomic bomb pit number 1. They have a hydraulic cylinder that basically lifts the crate into the bomb bay. Once the bomb bay doors are closed, they're ready to go. So again, this is July 9th, 1947, and they flew this to 8th Air Force Headquarters, Fort Worth, Texas, July 9th, 1947. At that point, we need to look at Straight Flush, which is one of the most historically significant aircraft in all of history, okay, because they flew bodies to 8th Air Force, Fort Worth, Texas. But then, Jim, it was scrapped in July 1954. I don't
scrapped this. They scrapped this plane.
They scrapped this plane in July 1954. Our most historic aircraft is gone now, involved in the most historic event in human history, and it's gone for history.
Some people might argue with the fact that the Enola Gay was probably the most historic. But, when you really think about it, yes, the Enola Gay was, extremely historic. But this, carrying the bodies of some extraterrestrial
That's right.
evidence.
Oh, you got it.
It's incredible.
That's right. So what do we have left? Well, if you go to the Roswell Army Air Center, which is basically their airport there, you'll see this interesting model display. And if you look at the top, you can see some B-29s. I want to zoom in here. And there is our Straight Flush, Victor number 85, B-29 Straight Flush. And Jim, this is all we got left. This is literally all we have left of the most historically significant airplane in the world. And all we have is a scale model. I mean, they could have at least saved the aircraft somehow.
Mike, do you think there's a reason why they scrapped this thing completely? I mean,
well, I'm sure that those at 8th Air Force Fort Worth, Texas knew, the Pentagon knew, and maybe they just wanted to further the cover-up. They didn't want to have anything to trace it back. I mean, we've got the pilot logbooks. We know who was involved. We know the crew members. They were interviewed. Basically when they landed, they were greeted by a mortician. And then when they left, as soon as it was gear up, one of the crew members was heard to say, quote, "Boys, we just made history." So again, this history is being lost, which just kills me. They could have saved this plane, but
absolutely. Would have been.
It would have been a very historic aircraft to save. So we'll continue on here. And again, here's the nose art for Straight Flush. Now, this brings us to C-54 Skymaster. And we believe at least 2 bodies were flown out by this aircraft, not this exact aircraft, but this exact type aircraft. This is flown directly to Wright Field, Dayton, Ohio, by Pappy Henderson. And his wife later learned about his involvement, and she believed him 100%. She had no reason to doubt this. And so here's the drawing by Rudy Gardea of Pappy Henderson overseeing the loading of the bodies into his C-54. So you know that the pilot is going to know what kind of cargo is going in his aircraft. So he certainly had seen
Now,
the
how
truth.
long did Pappy Henderson live? I mean,
He died, I think he died right around 86 time frame, somewhere in there.
really? So
Yep.
plenty of time to give testimony, and his wife.
Yes.
And I mean, the investigation was well on its way by this time.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
In the 80s.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. All right, so then sometime after July 9th, 1947, there was the autopsy at the Aeromedical Lab at Wright Field, Dayton, Ohio. So that's kind of a brief overview pictorially of Roswell, but let's dig a little further here. Let's see if we can get some confirming evidence from an independent source here. I want to introduce you to this gentleman here, Marion Black Mac Magruder, ace pilot, World War II. He was deployed to England February 6, 1943 to learn about night fighting. So prior to this time, and this is real key to this whole story, the United States Army Air Corps, they knew nothing about night fighting, absolutely nothing about night fighting. They actually had to send this guy to England to learn about night fighting and then fly back and teach America about what to do. This was the man who did it. He's very famous. Here's his graduating class, 1947, 1948. He was a real guy. He's a real person. This is Maxwell Field, Montgomery, Alabama. Now, again, we've been talking about an event that happened in 1947. In 1948, he was here at Maxwell Field, Montgomery, Alabama. And I want to take you to the area, the Air War College, back in 1948. This is April 1948, where he was at this location. And a call came in to Montgomery Field from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And just a couple slides before here, these men were told to board a aircraft, and they were flown from Montgomery Field, Alabama. This is April 1948, directly to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, because the government wanted to get their quote unquote opinion on something. Isn't that interesting?
Opinion.
They wanted to get the opinion on something from our ace pilots. I wonder what that could be. So
from this Black Mac guy?
Yeah. Him and his fellow World War II pilots were flown to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which I have here. This is April 1948, because they wanted to get their opinion on something. So what happened is there were two teams of 18 pilots that were brought to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, April 1948. They were brought into this large room. Two men walk in, and they have a box, and they start handing out debris, which they said came from the Roswell craft a little less than a year earlier. And they're looking at this debris, and they're handling it, they're observing it, and their reactions are being gauged by these two men. Like, could they handle this truth? Could they handle this reality? Or would it shock them to their core? So once they were done, they put everything back into the box. And these two men said, gentlemen, I think we've got a little surprise for you. Why don't you come follow us? So they go down this corridor, they make a left-hand turn, and they're brought into this large windowless room with a one-way mirror on the back of it. And guess what they saw, Jim?
They saw the bodies?
They saw the survivor. They saw the survivor. Here is the survivor.
Single survivor, yeah.
This is Black Magruder with his pilots, and they were able to see the survivor. This is by Rudy Gardea. Now, he was about 3.5 to 4 feet tall. He kind of had emaciated, elongated arms. He was described as looking squiggly. They described him as Casper the Ghost. He had an oversized head, oversized eyes, slit for a mouth, minute nose, nostrils, hairless. Again, very emaciated type body features. There were other corpses near where this was at. So not only did they see the live survivor, but they saw the corpses as well. So they really got to see everything, the debris, the
Would
bodies, all of it.
would we consider this nowadays as our the typical gray alien, or what do you think?
I think somewhere in between. Now, the facial features described on the grays are slightly different than what we see here,
Okay.
but it's in the same category. It's in the same category. Yep. All right, so we'll move on here. Now, what proof do I have of this? Is there any proof to back this up? Well, I ended up going to his son and I interviewed his son, and he gave me access to this document and the quotes and personal records of his father, which I've incorporated here. So this is 1947, 1948 Air War College declassified mobilization planning. And over here, you can see this is the second page, and it shows you the date, March 24th, 1948. And it takes you through here. They were at Wright Field, Dayton, Ohio, back in April 1948. This proves that they were there. Here's the room number. Here is the daily planner. This all says field trip to Wright Field. And so that shows you that they actually were there. Here is the basically the layout, the schedule of all the conferences that they were there for. So this was all part of like a 2-week conference at Wright Field. And within that conference, they were shown the debris and the bodies. Here is his son, Marion Magruder. Mark Magruder is the son of the pilot, Marion Magruder. I interviewed him for about 2 hours, and he gave me the full briefing on what his father told him. Here is the Kentucky Aviation Hall of Fame. That's his father's medal. He was a real person.
Yeah, okay.
There's his medal. Here's his photographs, a couple of other pictures within the display here. That brings us to July 20th, 1969. So Marion Black Mac Magruder is sitting down watching Neil Armstrong land in Tranquility Base. He's there with his son Merritt, and they're talking. And they go out during a commercial break, and they both go on the porch and they look up toward the skies. And the son turns to the father and said, "I just wonder if there's anybody out there." And the father turns to him and says, "We're not alone." And the son says, "How do you know this? How do you know this?" He said, "I know. I can't tell you, but I know." This is what he said. So I started breaking down these quotes. This is directly from the colonel here. This is not me. This is the colonel from his son. Quote, "I just know, I know for sure. One day you will know. We are not alone in this universe. I can't tell you about it right now. Someday, maybe I can tell you." Statement to son Merritt during Apollo moon landing, July 20th, 1969. He went on here.
Oh, that's pretty powerful.
Quote, "I was at the Air War College when all this happened. I know all about it. I want to see what the show is all about. Then maybe I can tell you more. My whole class was made privy to that information. We will watch the show. I can't talk about it now. It's top secret. We will talk about it once I see what they reveal on the show." So the background here, this is statement in 1981 or 1982 during a commercial break for Dallas, highlighting a promo regarding a breaking documentary on a possible UFO crash in Roswell during 1947. I'm going to plug in my...
I say it looks like you're running low on power there.
Power. So stand by. Let's get this plugged in.
Well, that's amazing that you've got these testimonies from such key people as this Marion Magruder.
I mean, if we can't trust our ace World War II pilots, who can we trust? Who can we trust?
It's like one time I talked to the, I guess it was granddaughter of Max Brazel when I was in. Okay. And when you talk to people like that, when their families were in the forefront of all this history happening, and they're carrying it forward, and you're talking to them, the conviction in those people.
That's right.
Is it all?
That's right. You got it. That's right. All right, let's move on here. Quote, "It was not like the aliens depicted on TV, except for a large head. Instead of gray in color, this being was more flesh tone, wearing a flight suit, human-like, but not like any human being I have ever seen. Squiggly, clearly not from this planet." He went on here. Quote, they were all small in stature, humanoid, somewhat Asian looking. Clearly they were not of this world. We all knew they were not of this world. They had extra long digits with suction cups at the end of their fingers. Their arms were this and long, out of proportion, longer than human. Their elbows were a lot further down. They were like little children, without any hair, about 4 feet tall. They had almond-shaped eyes, a little larger than human. The mouth was just a small slit, not much of a nose, no ears like some of the drawings. And then he went on here, which I think is interesting. Quote, "They all think the bodies are at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but they are at Eglin Air Force Base in vast underground cold storage vaults there." Statement after watching a documentary about Roswell. So this is coming from World War II pilot, ace World War II pilot, famous for teaching America how to do night fighting. Reliable, credible source. No reason to lie. No reason to lie.
Yeah.
Now, why am I showing you the interior of a soaring museum? You got all these beautiful sailplanes and gliders. It's a great place to visit. This is on a trip from Albuquerque to Roswell. So there's a couple ways that you can get to Roswell. You can fly into Albuquerque and take the 3-hour drive down to Roswell. That's one option. Or you can fly directly into Roswell and drive 10 minutes to get downtown. So 2 options. This will take you by this soaring museum. I'm just going to take you through here a couple of slides. And it's a really cool place. The guy let me in. He let me walk around all over. So I took photos, and really nice place. They've got some fiberglass, very low drag coefficient, high LFD efficient sailplanes. But that's not why I'm showing you this. I'm showing you this because literally within 500 feet of that air museum, I found this place, Lewis Antiques Auto and Toy Museum. And they were closing in 15 minutes. Yeah. I said, "Well, can I look? Can I see?" He said, "Go ahead." All right. So I'm walking around, and they have all these toys and everything. And they had like 200 of these old cars. They had some of these rusty Model A's sitting out there in the field. And
that'd be interesting. Yes.
It had this ghostly appeal, right? So then just before I was leaving, I figured, well, I might as well go for it, right? I might as well take a risk. I said, "Well, are the rumors true?" I asked this guy, "Are the rumors true?" He said, "What rumors?" And I said, "Well, the rumors about Roswell." And this gentleman right here, who I interviewed on videotape on my iPhone, Archie Lewis, he's the curator here. His sister was at a place called Vaughn, New Mexico, which is 100 miles north of Roswell. This was on the afternoon of the July 2nd, 1947, the very day this happened.
Right.
Okay? And so I've got a map here that shows you Vaughn, and in the bottom here, this is 100 miles away, Roswell. She was on horseback with 2 friends when a strange UFO did one complete orbit around all 3 of them on horseback and then took off. She was frightened to her core, and he described exactly what his sister had told him. So I believe this is an unknown witness. This girl who was she was his sister. She probably saw the craft, and it's an independent confirmation on the very same day this happened.
Yes.
She could be the only witness to see it, the afternoon prior to this crash actually taking place. So he's got a real good part of the story. It adds more credibility to the story itself. Now, I'm going to rip through this really quickly. I put together a flyer, and there's a reason why I want to talk about this. I tried to put the entire Roswell event into like 2 paragraphs and then have a couple of different photographs on the bottom here. And I sent this flyer out to all of the EAA chapters in the entire state of New Mexico. And I got crickets, Jim. I got crickets.
Seriously?
Except for one thing, which I want to tell you here. So I'm going to rip through this real quickly here. Roswell UFO crash retrieval. After more than 75 years, the truth can finally be revealed regarding what has commonly been referred to as the Roswell incident. On the night of July 2nd, 1947, an egg-shaped object of unknown origin crashed on the Foster Ranch, approximately 35 miles north of Roswell, New Mexico. The craft measured approximately 13 feet across and had a brushed aluminum exterior surface. On the morning of July 3rd, local rancher Mac Brazel discovered mysterious debris scattered over the ranch. The debris consisted of hundreds of tinfoil-looking shreds of material that spread out like liquid mercury after being folded up by hand and released. Other debris included extremely thin material that could not be cut, burned, or dented with a 16-pound sledgehammer. Finally, multiple small I-beam shaped debris was recovered, which included strange hieroglyphic writing or symbols on the inside wall. By July 8th, military personnel from the 509th Bomb Group stationed at Roswell Army Airfield arrived on the scene to begin the retrieval operation. They discovered 5 bodies associated with the craft and 1 was still alive. By 4 p.m. on July 8th, multiple eyewitnesses in Roswell observed a military convoy traveling down Main Street, headed in the direction of the base. This convoy consisted of multiple jeeps and a lowboy tractor trailer, which was carrying an egg-shaped craft concealed by a large tarp. Minutes later, the convoy arrived at Hangar P3 Building 84, where the construction of a large wooden crate began. The remaining deceased alien corpses were carefully placed into child-sized caskets and loaded into the crate. On the morning of July 9th, the bodies contained within the crate were loaded into the bomb bay of B-29 Straight Flush and subsequently flown to 8th Air Force Headquarters, Fort Worth, Texas. At least 1 body was flown in a C-54 by Oliver Pappy Henderson directly to the Aeromedical Lab at Wright Field, Dayton, Ohio for autopsy. If you or someone you know has had firsthand experience dealing with the Roswell debris, crash UFO, or extraterrestrial bodies recovered, please preserve an important part of our national history by contacting military aerospace historian Michael Schratt below. Okay, so I sent this to all of the EAA chapters.
Little letter.
And I got like crickets in response. So I'm thinking, what a waste. All this effort, all this time, put all this in it, and I got nothing except for the fact of one thing. I was able to track down one of the EAA chapter members who was having a meeting like that very night when I sent this thing over here. And he gave this to all the chapter members. And one of the chapter members knew D. Proctor. This is 7-year-old D. Proctor. Now he's much older now, and D. Proctor worked for this guy. And this is what D. Proctor told this gentleman who told me. Quote, number 1, stated D told him that he had held the Roswell debris. Number 2, mentioned that he had seen the bodies, D. Proctor body site. Number 3, mentioned that D told him that he was not threatened by the military, but his parents were. That's the takeaway I got from this gentleman who knew D. Proctor, who was on horseback with Mac Brazel on the morning of July 3rd, 1947. So again, a third independent source confirming that it wasn't a weather balloon.
Well, that's amazing that you can come up with this stuff. But yeah, now who all did you send that letter to, Mike?
I sent it to all the Experimental Aircraft Association chapter presidents in the state of New Mexico.
Wow.
They have it. And they sent it out to all their chapter members. So I'm saying conservatively a couple of hundred people saw this flyer that I just showed you. And one guy got back to me and he knew D. Proctor. And that's the connection.
Amazing. This is such interesting stuff. Now, some of this, I've known about the Roswell incident for years. And some of the stuff you're showing me here is new. So,
well, that's good. That's good. Okay,
basically so the names of these people. I never knew the names of these folks who were involved.
Well, Don, our good friend Don Schmidt's done a good job. But again, boots on the ground research. I mean, I would have never have known about the guy from Vaughn if I didn't go there or boots on the ground. Because
yes.
You just can't do your research by right-clicking on a computer. You really need to be boots on the ground. That's what real research is all about. So this is Roswell Army Airfield, Hangar P3 Building 84. This is headquarters for the retrieval operations. And I want to take you inside this hangar now. And so you are allowed to, I had to contact the mayor, who gave me the contact information for the Air Center maintenance director. And I set up an appointment with him. He actually met me there, and he spent 2 hours with me. I couldn't believe it. We drove around the entire field, looking through everything, and he took me inside the hangar. So we're going to go inside the hangar now. This is going to be the view looking inside. Can you now just imagine? You've got an ambulance truck. You've got 2 Jeeps. This is July 8th, 1947. You've got an 18-wheeler tractor trailer. This is a hush-hush operation, classified, deep black. You're getting into the hangar now. And now this is what it looks inside. He told me that when they originally built this hangar, and these are the original rafters on top. This is not a reproduction. This is the hangar where the bodies and debris were brought inside. This building, according to this maintenance personnel, was only supposed to be erected for 10 years, and that's it. It's been 75 years, and it's still here. It looks brand new.
It does. It looks great.
So if you remove these white pickup trucks and these jet engine nacelles and these engine test stands and forklifts, and just clear everything out and picture in your mind's eye July 8th, 1947, massive chaos, commotion. They're rapidly building a crate in the background. You've got bodies laying on the floor. You've got a debris. You've got truck. You've got military personnel. It's a chaotic scene. This is what it would have been into. And Jim, I believe I can get you plus or minus 6 inches of where they laid the bodies down. So I'm going to continue.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
So
Mike, I hate to interrupt you. We're coming up we got about 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left. Okay. No problem. Yeah, we can certainly get through Roswell for sure.
Okay.
All right. So now this is the opposite view looking back. And now I'm going to take this I believe this is where they might have built the crate. They put the caskets inside. And then this is ground zero, Jim. From everything that we know, what you're looking at here is plus or minus 6 inches of where they laid the bodies out. It's a very interesting feeling when you go there, knowing that you're within inches of where the bodies were. Okay, so this gives you an idea of what it looks like all around the 509th Bomb Group area, which is now this reclamation center. They've got various aircraft maintenance facility, avionics. They've got repair center. They've got scrapping going on there. Just a massive facility, just to give you an idea. Now, why
is Elvis?
Am I putting Elvis into this presentation? Well, what does Elvis have to do with anything? Well, I asked this guy. There's a very specific reason why, because Elvis's plane is still there from 1977. It's been parked there all this time. This is Elvis's jet.
Down there at the 509?
It's at the 509th Bomb Group. Yes, it is.
Ain't that something?
It's actually there. Here's another view of it here. And it just goes to show you that it's still there. Now, I asked this guy, what do you think Elvis may have known about Roswell? And he said, well, he couldn't confirm it, but since Elvis had connections all around the world, he was tied in with the CIA, he was tied in with Nixon, so it's very possible that Elvis could have had a Roswell connection or knew something more about Roswell than we did, but he never said anything about it. So we have to leave that kind of hanging. We don't know, but the possibility is there that Elvis knew something about Roswell. Absolutely.
Influential people, they get inside information all the time.
Yeah. And this might be a good place to stop, Jim, because we've just concluded our Roswell presentation here. And, we'll pick up on part 3, that's fine.
Yeah. And, I was down there in 2013 and did an archaeological dig sort of study with Don Schmidt. And, out there in the debris field.
Okay, sure.
It's just amazing to go out there and see this stuff. And knowing what happened there, what happened, and I think it's worthy of mentioning, is that when we were out to the debris field, now this is 2013, years after the event, somebody had seeded that entire area out there with little iron nails, so that folks that came out with their metal detectors and things like that would always get thrown off base. And yeah, we found a bunch of little nails and coffee tins and stuff, but
Sure.
we did find one little piece that we had analyzed, and it came back as very abnormal, if you will. And so the whole Roswell event is just absolutely fascinating for me, and it's timeless, it's endless.
Yeah.
You know, you could always go back and revisit the Roswell event. Well, Michael, this has been another enlightening conversation with you, and we're going to do a part 3.
Okay. Sounds good.
Continuing with the crash retrieval, and if we
Yes.
have to do a part 4, we'll do that.
You got plenty of material. No
We'll
problem.
just, as long as you've got material, we'll have you on.
Great.
And,
Thank you.
I think that your work is impeccable. You do the boots on the ground stuff, like you said.
Mhm.
I remember Stan Friedman always said, "Do your research. You know, get out and do your own research. Don't do your research by proxy."
Correct.
Anybody can sit down at their computer or sit in front of their TV and research. But if you're going to get out, if you're going to do it, then go do it.
That's right.
Like you do. You boots on the ground. There's not a better term for that.
That's right.
So, well, again, Mike, thank you for joining us. And
Thank you.
We do look forward to next week. And if not next week, then it will be a week or so after. But we're going to do a part 3, and we're going to keep going until we kind of exhaust your crash retrieval information. I think it's just grand that you offer this. So, folks, thanks for joining us tonight. So, along with Michael Schratt and me, your host, Jim Mann, and my program manager behind the scenes, Patricia Wilkinson. Please join us next week for another special guest, which may very well be Michael. I will have to post that as we try to bring a little bit of light into this dark window. So, signing off, this is KGRA Digital Broadcasting, Dark Window. Good night.